When we get people's list of music or their demos, why are they all played in time? Why don't they play it in a waltz, 5/4, 7/4? Surprise me. I mean, why don't we have something that is more like elastic and humanized in a way that you can actually hear that it's not played in time? Because I think people are looking for some honesty and some uniqueness. And whoa, this is new.
Karsten, I don't want to butcher your last name.
The J is silenced, so it's just Kjems.
Kjems. Two men united by love of sound, and somehow we stumbled into this strange world where people have hired us to advise them on how to use sound and music to move human beings. And we're talking, of course, about big brands, their content, their campaigns, but also their identity.
What I do is I convert brand values into music identities. We know from lots of studies that if you're not using the right music, you will not be attracting the right people. And music is really strong identifier from whom you are as a brand as well. So what they're looking into is more effective communication actually. And music is just a tool. Yeah, we try to challenge them to say, okay, we can see you're really strong in terms of your visual identity, but it comes to sound, who is your audio responsible? And they don't have any. And we say that's weird because you use sound over there on that platform. You have music here, you have own whole music here, you have sound in your app here, and you might have a game, what have we not. So it's very important that you use sound strategically to create the effect you want. What is it you want me or the listener to feel or do? We see many of our clients today are doing less and less above the line. I mean, TV commercials, radio commercials, which is a more passive way of communicating. You shout out and you hope you might listen to it, to more user journeys and user experiences in terms of products. To attract modern users today, you have to be on all different kind of platforms, especially the young ones. They don't watch Flow TV. So how do you interact with them? How do you interact with boomers? How do you interact with people who are not seeing Flow TV or don't have and have ad blockers? I started back in 2004, I think. I cannot even remember. My background is I'm a jazz drummer, and besides that, I also took a degree in software development. So I got this hybrid of business, software development, marketing, and also jazz music and playing live drums. And then I got a job as a software web developer at an agency where we were to create a campaign for a product. And there was this, art guy, and there was this visual guy, and there was this guy, the coding guy said, who's responsible for the sound? Oh, we just picked something. And I realized this whole audio music industry in terms of digital journey hasn't been organized in the right way. So I could see at that point that this is going to be huge. I started making MIDI tones for the old Nokia. Actually, before the web came, it was WAP phones. Where the pointer goes, the music goes, the flow goes. That's how it goes. So music was, I could see, in my opinion, a growing thing. It was before YouTube also. So that's how I started. I got my first big client. I went back to my colleagues, say, hey, we got this. Then now what? I don't know. We have to figure it out. So you sold a bridge you haven't built before. So how do we get to the other side? I don't know. I have an idea. Let's see how it goes.
What does your average day look like?
80% of my work is writing, communicating, contracting, making sure that the client get the right stuff, following up on emails, lots of communication, lots of presentations. Then at the end of the day, when the product starts, then I hand it over to my colleagues, and they actually start the process of producing music, creating the concepts. Instead of just leaving them with a Dropbox folder or download file, here we go, see you later. How do you actually get this file into that platform? How can we make coherency between the phone system and the app, or how do we do this? So it's a lot of consultancy and making sure that the client sticks to us rather than just going from project to project.
What's your recent experience with budgets and what it looks like in sound branding? What are the different ways that they can get paid and the amounts and what they would have to do for it?
We have our clients in A, B, and C categories, where C are the smaller ones, B are the mediums, and A are the top ones. We only have one or two big A clients because they're very difficult and take a long term to decide, very slow, long-term projects. We do want a mix of A, B, and C clients. That doesn't mean that the C clients should sound cheaper than the A clients. That's not how it works. They still want some good music. We say to our vendors, okay, this project here, you might get up to 1,000 to 3,000 euros, depending on what client it is, but it could be 2,000 to 3,000 euros where you have to produce different concepts, and we have an iterations.
Let's play a hypothetical. I'm Tommy. I'm a talented musician. I realize brands are holding all the cash, all the money. They're doing the patronage of all the artists. I look around for some companies in the space. I see yours. And the idea is maybe there's a company somewhere that's doing a lot of audiovisual content. They're doing cool stuff, and they're probably a great candidate for a sit down. But this musician, this Tommy, doesn't really have any idea of how to approach this brand, doesn't have the credentials, but may have a great idea because I'm totally in tune with this brand.
We don't know all the brands in the world. Let's say you are a British musician or German or Spanish or whatever. I don't know the Italian market that good, or the Spanish market, or the US market. So I think a lot of musicians are missing or looking too far away. They might look at their neighborhood and say, this big neighbor of mine is actually a big brand. And I can see that they could need some help in terms of audio branding. So what they could do is contact us. Then you're cutting the line, you're getting to the fast lane, because then, okay, you have already done your homework. Instead of just sitting there, feed me, feed me, feed me. I hope you will feed me with some jobs. And that way you'll be more proactive rather than just, reactive, sitting in the back, send me some demos and waiting for me to call you. You look into your own neighborhood. And it's okay that you don't have the experience to approach them. That's not your job. Your job is to create music. But together with us, we could approach them.
Yeah. One of the aspects of the creative life is you have to face reality head on. And we, as creative people, tend to be very idealistic. Of course, we live in our imagination a lot, and sometimes to our detriment when it comes to business. And it's a rare specimen. It's a rare person that can combine art and commerce, but that requires real, brutal, harsh look at reality. Would you get into music if you were to start all over?
That's a good question, Tommy. Well, I'm in doubt. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my dad was a musician. He was a professional drummer. And the reason why I stopped playing professional was because I was doing a tour, and I could see I was playing at a club where my dad was supposed to play the one month later with another group. And I was thinking, okay, my dad is 30 years older than me, and we are playing some of the same gigs in the same clubs. He might get paid a little bit more because he's playing some more tough guys, but still riding the same cars, living in the same hotels. Is this what I want to do in 30 years? Because it's very hard. Man, I don't have a picture of my childhood where my dad wasn't smoking or drinking. That was just, he went played so many gigs, made over 300 albums, and all the pictures I have him in TV or concerts, beers, alcohol, smokes, all the clubs were smoking. He died of cancer when he was 60. My mom died of cancer when she was 55. So I said, no, that's not the life I want to live. There must be another way around. So I actually stopped playing pro. But today, I mean, I can work from home where I'm sitting right now. I can do some music ideas. So I don't feel that it's not as harsh living on the road as a musician. So I think a combination of musicians should say, okay, I want to teach one day a week at the local school. I want to do my own recordings Monday, Tuesday, and then I have 3 or more days I can do, producing podcasts, be an engineer for the local company who might need some, on-site audio guy who can mix this or make this different music scapes for their films, and work with the companies like ours. So I think it's about, combining a mix. What I always tell other young people, make a circle and say, how much do you want to be a composer? How much do you want to sell yourself? How much do you want to be a producer? How much you want to mix? How much you want to teach? How much you want to play live? I have 2 educations. I'm both a software developer, but also a drummer. And I definitely also didn't want to do full-time software developing, so I had to do a mix. So find your own mix.
Really, as a commercial craftsperson, where you're trading your musical skills for money from brands, you have to understand that the relationship with music has to be a bit different. You really have to let go. But it's almost like in your Google Calendar, you should have 2 different colors. Like from this time to this time, I'm a craftsperson. I'm here to solve creative problems for a fee. I don't get emotional about it. I don't get personal about it. It's not as if we're descending into a mine with helmets on, risking that the ground will fall on top of us. We are either opening a new session or opening existing session and saving as in case of a revision. When we differentiate between craftsperson and artists, we're not saying like a craftsperson is someone who's going to create these soulless, generic sounding things for corporate music. This is the misconception people have. No, like in order for brands to be culturally relevant, they literally have to be on the cutting edge of whatever's the coolest, latest sound, but it's not ever going to be a cheap replica. If you're dealing with a great brand, they want it to be truly authentic.
You go into a restaurant, you don't want your food tasting like your own. You want something, whoa, I cannot make this. I haven't tried this before.
Yeah.
So,
back in the day, you could become a millionaire by running a music production company. In fact, I know a few. It seems like today, what's happened is like the budgets have gone down, but there's a crap load more work happening. So I'm just wondering if maybe we live now in a time and for the future where maybe there are enough opportunities on a daily basis for any given musician where they do 1, 2, 3 things a day, and maybe they make $30,000 to $100,000 a year, and they're happy because it's not an 8-hour gig, but it's a lot of little opportunities, basically. How do you see this?
it's a good question, Tommy. When I advise and coaching young people, I always ask them, how much money do you want to make? what is enough for you? And it might change, but what is enough for you today? So if your values are that your spare time is important, I need to be with my family, my friends, I need to do my workout, running is important for me, that's fine.
You know, we didn't get into music for money, at least in the beginning.
Well, you shouldn't do it for money. You should do it because you cannot not do it.
Cannot not do it.
It's a call for you, and I think that I still play the drums. They call me sometimes the drums, because I want to play just for fun. I just sit there and just play. And sometimes I also do some gigs where I can play my own music with my musicians I love, and I don't care if I get paid. I do some house concerts, I do some clubs where it's my name on the door, so people come to listen to the music I want to play for them.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that 100% of the time. I'm very much aware that in my cheesecake, it's okay, I use 5% of my time for doing this. I don't want to. I don't need to be, the ego Karsten Kjems and the playing tonight in the jazz club, whatever. So be aware, what is it you want to achieve? And that can change over time. Then you get kids, suddenly you have another focus. Then you get divorced, then you have another focus for creating more money. Then something else happens in your life. What can you do? You might get disabled, break an arm. Hey, I cannot work as a guitarist anymore. I need to produce music. Okay, then you be a sound engineer in a TV company or whatever, my company, for instance, because you cannot play at that level anymore with your broken fingers. Things happen, so be adaptable and be honest to your heart. And because if it ain't working, try something else and figure out how should your mix of music could be. As I told you before, you might want to teach one day a week. You might want to write. You might want to, make game audio or music for commercials or what have you. There are so many ways of being musicians today.
Yeah.
And when I do teaching and censoring in different schools in Denmark, the Rhythm Conservatory, I see them educating really good sound designers. But I also challenge the board there. So, what are you educating them for? How do they know to sell themselves when they're done?
Exactly.
They just get out of the school and bam, unemployment. Oh, I didn't know how to apply for a job. I didn't know how to sell myself. Well, that's the hard life here. You need more than just be a good musician. And to be honest, the really good musicians, they will be discovered. Just like the good football players, they don't get overseen at the clubs. If you're really good at scoring goal as the new Ronaldo, you will get picked for some of these scouts out there.
You're not selling your music. You're selling yourself. And yourself, the good news is it's already unique, because there's no one else like you. The problem is sometimes we are tempted, especially today, to play by the algorithm, to play by best practices, to play by templates. I do want to thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Tommy. It was a pleasure talking to you and also sharing thoughts and ideas. We'll stay in touch on different channels and perhaps we'll see one day and grab a silent cup of coffee together.
Yeah, I would love that.